Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Blue Collar Coder. And it's another Tech a Day. And today we're going to take a look at how this animation was pulled off. It's really cool. I love that kind of liquid thing there. It's really neat, actually. And I looked at that this morning on my feed and I was like, dang, I might want to replace my own logo with that thing. And well, anyway, it's made in GSAP. So we're going to go take a look at GSAP and also look at this code and see how that kind of gooey liquid thing turns out. All right, let's jump into the code. Okay, so here's this cool droplet loading code pen. The link is down in the description. It's got some JS that uses the GSAP animation library, some CSS, largely just to format the page, and then a heapin' helpin' of SVG. So first question, where does it get GSAP? And let's find. It's bringing in GSAP and these two more extension libraries that, and I've obviously looked at this before. I know it's not actually using, so let's get rid of those. Now wiggle is referenced and it creates an object, but that's not used, so we can get rid of that. And weirdly, all these locals aren't actually used either. So this is what I normally do when it comes to figuring out this kind of stuff. I just start hacking on it and see what breaks, and then by breaking it, I start to learn how it works. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. All right, let's put the JS aside for a moment and start looking over at the SVG. At the top, we've got a bunch of filters. Here's the two drop shadow filters. Let's just remove those. So there are a bunch of these filters and gradients we left at the top. And yeah, we'll keep those around. But let's jump over into the heart of the thing where these graphics groups define the outlines and the dots. And that outline has a dash in it that creates those holes. So the real trick here is that it's basically the same thing, outline plus dots, repeated like 5 times with different colors and then overlaid on top of each other. So what I'm going to do is just pare this down to one of those to make it easier to work with. Okay, now we have just the navy blue version. The outline isn't spinning, but we can deal with that later. Now we can remove the rest of the linear gradients because they're for the other ones, and we're just changing the colors of the other copies. All right, now onto the JS side. There is a lot of repeated stuff, so it's got a lot of sets at the top, and then we're going to remove the repeated stuff. And now that ring is moving again. Guess JavaScript is always stressed about some missing references. Don't stress, JavaScript. There's no need for stress. Now that things are working and simplified, let's try and figure out how that goo thing works, because that's what I'm really here to find out. I really love that kind of gooey animation. So the dots has this goo filter attached, so let's play with that a little bit. Oh, okay, cool. So this blur is smushing things together inside that graphics group. And then the matrix seems to put it all back together once it's been smushed. I'm not sure about the specific parameters there, but that's definitely what's doing that congealing work. Okay, so to sum up on the SVG side, we have a graphics group called dots something that gets filtered with goo. And it's the gradient that gives it a color. And then inside that ring is just the stroked outline with a bunch of dashes. And then the circles that act as blobs. Okay, so that makes sense on the SVG side. Let's go take a look over at the JS and the GSAP because it's actually pretty cool. So here is GSAP. It's on greensock.com. And its docs don't make it very easy to find the to method, which is interesting because it's really important. It's basically just driving everything here. But yeah, here it is. So you give it a CSS selector, and then you tell it where to go. And so we're using that to move the dots in that center section. And then this timeline method we are using in the code. I'm not 100% sure why, but this is really cool. This pause and seek and all that functionality is really neat. All right, so yeah, basically you've got the JS. It's using this GSAP to animate the SVG, and that then goo filter is giving you that goo look. And what makes it visually complex is that you've got an overlay of all of these kind of duplicates of that with different colors all working at the same time. Okay, so some really interesting stuff in there. I've never done a video breakdown like this. I hope I did okay with it, and I hope you learned something. And of course, if you like this video, please like it. If you really like these videos, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell. And of course, see you tomorrow, and just take care of yourselves.